everyone, welcome back to Quick Esports. Quick Esports versus Peps in week 1 of OWCS. Hey, look, Quick have somehow made it back in. Like over and over again, they continually managed to get back in. It was all part of the master plan anyway. You can lose your org, you can get your roster gone, and then you can come back in regardless. So it's great to be back. It's great to be back in OWCS. It is, of course, the creme de la creme, the top of European talent and European Overwatch, and we should be seeing some today. Speaking of the best of European Overwatch, we have Spectrion joining us today. How are we feeling?
I'm pretty good. I've been torn away from my Silksong to be here, and to be honest, it could be a pretty interesting game, right? Quick Esports obviously were able to deal quite a lot of damage the previous time they were here. Now with some roster changes, they're looking to do the exact same thing again. And against Team Peps, who's recently had their roster, stripped realistically, this seems like one of their best chances to actually, make a mark on, stage 3 of OWCS 2025.
Yeah, a lot of the original players from Peps have now been poached by Gen G, and so there's been a kind of void which has somewhat ironically been filled by a couple of players from the former Quick roster, right? Specifically Dip and Willis, formerly played for Quick in that second stage, the one where they were able to beat the Ultimates in map 5. Of course, we know exactly where the Ultimates are now. They're not exactly around. Point is, all these players are quite well tenured. Willis is very strong on the Hazard, but that's actually been specifically banned by Quick Esports. So it seems like something they recognize. They know the strength of Willis on the Hazard. They ban it out immediately, and then a Sojourn ban on the other side from Team Peps.
Yeah, both pretty strong bans, all things considered. Haz is, pretty targeted towards Willis's hero pool more than anything else. Soj ends up being, if you do want to play the Freya, then really you want to get rid of the other hit scans because she doesn't have a great 1v1 into them.
Yeah, we can see the Ryan composition come out, of course, enabled by Evil on the Symmetra. Dip's going to make an adaptation here, go over to the Venture, something that can just sort of poke and prod at Quick Esports. So we're going to have a lot better control of the objective, at least initially. So for Peps, they have to play patient. They need to surround Quick Esports from all sides before they can make a move, which they're trying to do with their teleport. It doesn't seem like they're able to collapse onto any target, though. Every member of Team Peps does have a way to get out, and the point hasn't even been entirely flipped yet for the members of Quick Esports. Again, they're just sort of trading places. Dip can go burrow in for a little bit, then back out. Willis is healthy again, so should be able to hold some space on the point. Zoro's been dealing so much damage, is almost up to that bowler shot. Not the strongest ult in the world, but if it's the first thing that can come out, then it could certainly get some damage done.
Indeed, so drop the first player to fall, but this fight still shows no signs of breaking down. Even with there being no Cassidy, then Quick Esports still can just cast it down in this side room with the threat of the Rhine Hammer, as well as the utility of the Sim TP allows you to back up pretty safely. So only 13% on the board for Quick Esports. They're able to get too much out of this, and we'll see what they do in the future.
Evil getting very creative with that teleporter is almost a prerequisite when you're playing the Rhine. Of course, a very interesting pick. Not necessarily the strongest one, I would think, but you TP through and the window actually catches FD God by surprise. Snowdrop's able to put the bullets through it, able to get one. 4v3 currently just in the favor of Peps, but again, Snowdrop is being given a lot of space and a lot of resources to work with right now, and it's making it rain on the cast thus far.
I mean, when both teams just, crash into each other, then it's always going to be the Rhine comp of Skytor and Co, who's going to find way more success. That hero is just way too strong, right, in terms of the frontline trade. Quick Esports, they win when they take angles, or Team Peps rather, they win when they take angles, when they can play a slower fight, when they can wait for somebody to find an individual pick.
Yeah, so they're actually going to be sending Dip. They were trying to divert the attention of Quick Esports, who works so well as a unit.
Nice.
Snowdrop's going to try and keep both angles covered. We Deadeye, we teleport in.
Nice.
Bowler shot dropped on top of it, and it's a bit of a crazy play to make. Unfortunately, it was very well scouted by the members of Peps. They've seen plays like this a million times over. They're not going to fall for it.
Yeah, the Deadeye TP honestly works really well for Quick Esports, but the issue is Peps are way too fast to just walk into the rest of the team. While still using, both your DPS's uptime to go for these kind of zany plays, it means they're not just shooting the walk up. And so Team Peps were able to get in, get to brawling, and win the temporary 4v3. 70% now on the board. That last fight territory here for Quick Esports. See what the home team can try and manage.
Yeah, we're looking at the resource they have. We're going to see a wall, which is going to basically completely deny Dip's use of the Tectonic Shock. We see a shatter onto Willis, but that's just going to be sound barriered by FD God. Members of Quick Esports still particularly healthy in this exchange right now. We even throw a Diva Bomb in as a little bit of desperation, not able to find anything. Team Peps, they... apologies, Quick Esports are looking a bit asunder right now because Peps are doing the good job of the fundamentals. They're just playing angles, playing distance.
The good news is, because the flip came through, though, is that there will be another attempt with the Symmetra TP, especially a touch, should be coming through. I kind of expect to see FD God playing for the window here, playing for the boot, making sure nobody can make it inside, but it's a pretty standard bridge TP.
Well, they put the TP down, but it's actually a fake. Instead, they just run themselves over the bridge. And Skytor's actually able to find Zerion. That wasn't a damage amped Fire Strike, just a straight Fire Strike into the backline. Immediately, members of Peps are going to back out, at least for a second here. Zoro has the bowler shot, so you can put this in onto the point. There's nothing that's going to, eat that damage or prevent it or anything like that.
Indeed, but with Dip going down as well, surely it's time for Team Peps to back out. Skytor can walk the bridge, whereas even though he's got a little bit more HP, simply can't hold up to the frontline trade, and Peps have control of the bridge. You got beat, you're close to a Deadeye, you can make the walk up really, really awkward, but what you have to stop happening, above all else, is Zerion getting a good Kitsune rush, because that will win them the fight 8 times out of 10.
Yeah, it's probably one of the stronger ults that we have on the board, maybe aside from those sound barriers. We're going to see Deadeye come out again. Actually offer some flexibility with the TP. Effectively, the Deadeye is in 2 places at once, and with every angle covered, Zerion, again, the man with the key winning ultimate at 90%, the one who's found out. That's a very late boot from FD God, and possibly a fight-winning one as well. Sound barrier comes out from Strebber because it's desperation time. Is all this extra overhealth going to allow you to confirm a kill? Yes, it is going to be good enough for a DMEC onto Willis. Peps have flipped the point in the meantime. Zoro still has the bowler shot. Everyone is grouped up. Man is salivating right now, looking at everyone that may be killed. Dip comes through, still able to get work done. We see mirrored support ult, a Kitsune rush, and a bat window on the objective as well. Skytor again with the Fire Strike has been able to find Zerion. FD God has to be late into the fight, only able to find 3, but it gives Dip enough health to take Snowdrop out of the equation. We're into very chaotic fight territory. Skytor only 10% away from a slam. Needs to charge up to it, but dies as he hits it, and no one was there. It's Zoro at the end with a neat little 4K, doing so much in these scrappy fights.
Super close there. A couple things obviously going wrong in that final fight. Just I believe Snowdrop getting picked off early. Evil goes for a super long TP and doesn't get a lot really with the angle. And a couple over peaks as well means that they do get pretty heavily punished. Great play though from Quick Esports to make it so competitive, and for Peps, like, you're happy enough with how you perform, but it could have gone a little bit better for you. Obviously, that's going to be one of the worst points for Ryan Comp in general. So, as we head forward, thinking about some of the other maps here on Lijiang Tower, right, especially Control Center, then Quick Esports have to be feeling pretty comfortable rather about their chances as they move forward.
Yeah, Quick, definitely the underdogs in this. They were the long shot of all long shots, actually getting into this match. Realistically, they shouldn't be playing today, but they are anyway. Sticking to the exact same composition. They're going to have good control of the White Room. TP comes through to try and catch Peps as they're rotating. Get a little bit of a hit onto the backline, but they end up splitting themselves in the process. And Willis smells the blood in the water and just pounces onto Evil.
Yeah, we were just way too slow there on the rotate, unfortunately. Quick Esports can maybe try and find a trade out. At least some ult charge into Skytor would be pretty nice here, but you just don't have the members, you just don't have the angles, you don't have the HP either, and so just getting evaporated here. First cap comes through pretty easily for Team Peps. Not what you'd really like. This first fight for the Ryan is one of your best matchups here against the Diva, but just a little bit of fumbling, unfortunately, made it go faster than you'd like. Your kind of silver lining is still you do have a compositional advantage. Everything else, though, like ults, like Zoro's bowler, like Zerion's Deadeye going against you, or Kitsune.
Yep, and that's the power of Zoro. Zoro's been an absolute nutcase because realistically, if you're not able to get Evil with a good teleport onto Zoro to somehow deal with all the ability Freya has, what's actually going to be contesting that Freya?
Not a lot. in theory. I mean, ideally it's your Cassidy, but it's not happened just yet. Snowdrop, though, great pick onto Dip, gives you a 5v4 that you can press your advantage on.
Yeah, Cass has a pretty good matchup into the Venture when you force it in the close range. FD God is utterly in Narnia right now. It's a distraction that comes through along with the bowler shot from Zoro from behind. Are able to clean this one up. Again, looking at 60% on the point, encroaching onto the final fight territory.
Indeed. Still time to kind of squeeze out too, especially if you find a flip halfway through, but we really need to find some space on the map. Quick Esports have really been struggling, right? We've been choked out, ruined by the superior shooting of Team Peps with their bowler, for example. So getting some better sightlines will make it a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, we're going to have the exact same play set up with the Deadeye. Have my Cass in 2 places at once, but Team Peps have every single angle covered. Now Zerion is going to enable the contest on the objective itself with the use of the Kitsune Rush. Zoro drops basically into the loving arms of Snowdrop. And so now we essentially have 2 fights taking place. One of them being won out by Quick, one of them being won out by Peps. When all is said and done, who's going to win the ultimate affair? Strebel actually uses Sound Barrier in desperation there, only onto himself and Skytor, who are both incredibly low on health right now. Johan's made the swap over to the Moira just to get back faster, get some of that healing in. Now we see Tectonic Shock from Dip, take advantage of the chaos, take advantage for the potential damage that you could deal. Skytor able to basically deny all of that with the shielding. We are now in overtime situation. Evil's made another swap over. You can see the desperation in Quick Esports' eyes, how hard they're trying to hold onto this objective. Skytor has the shatter. Not been very successful thus far. Might need to go for something now. It will be a solo slam onto FD God, but the Suzu I'm not even going to Oh my god. Yeah, don't play Ryan, ladies and gentlemen. don't play Ryan.
Yeah,
what can I say? That character is trash.
The hero feels pretty terrible occasionally, unfortunately. I get the idea.
Look, I hit an ult onto one Lucio, guys. Surely we can kill him.
But, the hero just doesn't get any shooting, so if you're playing any sort of shooting base, you're going to really struggle. I think that's kind of what we're seeing here, where your shield's broken, you try and walk in, you've got the shields, so you wait, and then you get superior angles taken on you, and you end up losing because of that. It's not ideal. I think as well, you kind of need your sim TPs to be super decisive, and I think they're waiting a bit too long with them. We're not getting enough with the Deadeye, especially because the defense matrix is currently used just by matrixing every single TP. What we're seeing from Peps is this hard focus on the TP, and so I think if I am Quick Esports, if I want to stick with the Rhine, I might move away from the Symmetra, right? Put, I believe it's Evil onto something that's just a bit more versatile, less one-dimensional, like a May, a Venture. I think that would really help you sit on a bit more of even footing with what Peps are trying to bring to the table.
Yeah, and obviously the kind of elephant in the room is the Freya, right? We were sort of talking about. You said it pretty well. What does Ryan not deal well with? People shooting. And who can shoot very well? A Freya. That's kind of her entire kit. She's built around shooting and staying in the air and shooting you some more. Has a verticality element that Ryan also doesn't deal with particularly well. So there's basically no contesting this Freya, like in the slightest. Like, again, you said earlier that maybe your Cass could be the one contesting the Freya, but you have to move them into the range. And Quick Esports, they're definitely a damn good team, but they are no Twisted Minds or Alcadzia with their Symmetra play. We'll put it like that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see exactly what they want to do next. If I am Quick, then I'm in a bit of a weird spot. We are in a relatively off-tank driven meta, and Skytor, in terms of heroes he's playing, not all that, right? I mean, Scott McKenzie once famously said that he does make Hazard look balanced, so we can't really expect that hero from him. It's going to be probably like a Winston for the most part. That's where he wants to sit. But with Winston, you do run into a couple problems. A, in that Willie plays a lot of the heroes that make your life pretty hell, right? Malga on flat ground maps, Diva on high ground maps, and also just in general, he's a hard hero to play. If you get poked out at all, you end up having your day ruined, and so there's a lot of pressure onto your DPS to open up that space for you. Yeah,
Willis is just a bit more flexible, I think, if we're taking a direct head-to-head over Skytor. You said Skytor earlier is traditionally a main tank player, but we're getting into this. We're getting into points now where when Overwatch 2 first came out, it's fine, we'll just sign 2 tanks, one to play the off tanks and one to play the main tanks. Now we have a new generation of tank players like Willis, who can just sort of play everything. You want them to play a Hazard, you want them to play a D.Va, you want them to play a Mauga, something like that, it's fine. Because when you deal with someone like Skytor, again, Winston's what he's most comfortable on. You can play a decent Reinhardt, Ramattra and Orisa we've seen from him, but Ramattra and Orisa are not perfect right now. Generally, I wonder how Skytor's Wrecking Ball is. That's a random thought, because we have seen some Wrecking Ball come out this weekend, more in North America than Europe, but I am of the opinion that Ball with the Wu Yang is probably the best tank pick, but it's a very high skill level to achieve and takes a lot of practice, and so I get why teams aren't defaulting to it all the time.
Yeah, I think if you do have the Bull gene, just play Bull. He's really good right now. There's a reason.
If you're Junbin, then yeah, you just.
I mean, even in EMEA rather, there's a reason we're seeing teams like French Revolution and like Mew3 do pretty well in Face It Masters because they have strong ball players like Golden Pants and Ostrich. So if that's something you can bring through into the OWCS, and that would be absolutely fantastic to see. But if it's not in your wheelhouse, then I think trying to force it is not great as well. Again, it's a super skill-dependent hero, so if you're doing good on ball, if you're good at ball, rather, he's always going to be meta. If you're bad at ball, he's always going to be kind of terrible, even if, relatively speaking, he's still in a strong spot right now.
Also interesting to point out, no Wu Yang on that first map. The biggest change, and has been a bit of a must-pick everywhere we've seen. Aside from, basically, it seems like other than Control, depending upon the map, it seems like there's like a silent handshake agreement to just not play the Wu Yang. Other than that, guy's a freak. Like, crazy strong right now. Having your main support or flex support at this point, it doesn't really matter. Having just one of them being able to pick up and play that Wu Yang to a particularly high level is going to matter quite a lot. So Yoham and Streber on the quick side, of course, they're both incredible players in their own right. I think there's a world in which they can learn, they can pick up that character. But on Peps, Zerion and FD God as well. I mean, they are both very well tenured. They're both very respected support players. They are both unfortunately French, but take that how you will.
Well, they're Peps. You kind of know what you're expecting going into it.
It's gift with purchase, yeah. Even if we end up, even if Peps end up winning, they will go home with the realization that they are in fact French.
Our average Englishman.
Very, very unfortunate. Even though Evil off Quick Esports is also French as well.
But yeah, for those who might be wondering why all this French hate is coming from, we do have the 100 Years' War stuck in our genetic memory as Englishmen, and therefore it's never going away. We're very sorry to mention it.
Yeah. My plans to launch nuclear missiles at France is still currently in progress. We are actively working on it. Retake Nordic. That's a little like that's not modern enough for me. I'm just thinking like full on like just explosion, right?
Big boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of big boom, I'm trying to have a little think about how Quick could bring the boom. Great transition, I know. On the next map, I gotta say something, right? At some point, eventually.
That was good. It caught me off guard.
Thank you. That's the first nice thing that Spectron has said to me all day and ever, actually.
Probably not ever, but definitely all day.
Yeah, for sure. But no. Having a think about where we go to next. Is it just a case of Quick maybe forcing the Rhine? Or is it actually about making some substitutions? They have actually swapped out Streber for Yonte, who is definitely a lesser-known support player from Yoham and Strebel. They're a more well-known duo. Yonte is more of an unknown quantity at this current stage. Has been working his way up, of course, making it to OWCS, which we have to be very, very impressed with. But it means that there's a lot of unknowns. I'm going to assume what this means is that Yonte has specifically learned the Wu Yang and will be playing it.
We shall have to wait and see. A strong player would have had the chance to get my eyes on him before. We'll have to wait and see if he can do it, though, on the big stage. Obviously, some players, when they get here, like to really, shine under these bright lights. Pressure makes diamonds out of some others crumble. So we'll see if he can compete at the top level of Overwatch Esports, or at least top level of EMEA Esports. There's a whole other argument about career, obviously, here. But I think with Wu Yang, he's a super skill-dependent hero. I think either you're a Wu Yang player or you're not right now. Obviously, he does fit into more the flex support category. I think the comps he plays end up being essentially double flex comps. Because his style of aiming is so strange, and the style of positioning, this kind of weird hybrid of Kiriko and Zenyatta, I like to say, it's so odd. I do think that he is very much an acquired taste, and the people who are good with him, like a Choro, can find insane value, and people who don't quite have him downloaded yet are going to do like 100 damage per 10, 10 healing per 10, and just feed their absolute brains out.
Yeah, so I understand why from Quick they specifically had someone in to play that specifically. What we're also getting on as a big discussion point is, okay, we know that the Wu Yang is cracked, right? That's not really up for discussion. But then it's a question of what support do we pair with it? Because going on to our next map, Eichenwald, Quick have banned out Lucio. So they are thinking, if they want to go with the Wu Yang, they're thinking, we don't want to play it with a Lucio. Maybe we'd also just rather not have Peps play it with a Lucio either. It seems more about protecting their pick rather than necessarily targeting the enemy specifically. Of course, we're going to see Peps roll out on a Kiri alongside it. I've seen arguments made for Brig. I've seen arguments made for Lucio. I think most teams are landing on Kiri as kind of that safe middle ground option, because what meta does Kiri not fit in as well? Also, when did she learn to skateboard? That's really cool.
So Kiri is never bad because she does everything. And she learned to skateboard. I couldn't tell you, honestly. I also feel like it's low-key cheating, because she doesn't actually do any skateboarding stuff. It's just her board is magically stuck to her feet and jumps her up. Notice how her foot doesn't shift to the back to pop the board up. It's not even remotely close to proper ollie. Whatever, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, Spawn Shot doesn't get anything.
Yeah.
Skythor isn't the ball. You're right with that.
Well, we have to see if he has the ball genetics or not. Hazard from Willis. Again, Willis is a phenomenal Hazard player. It's, I would say, by far his best hero. It's not been banned on this map, so it's going to have relatively free reign. It's, as I said earlier, my theory, which I could always be wrong with, is that the ball is better, but the Hazard is certainly more reliable, and it has a lot lower of a skill floor. Slam comes in, we see an immediate follow-up onto both of the Wu Yang players. Dip in a little longer, gets both backline as Evil actually just waiting in the wings for Dip to blink back in to get that kill. So it's a current 3v3 situation. Remember, the spawns are slightly better for the attackers on this first point, so any trade currently will be in favor of Quick.
Indeed. Great kill from Evil, but right now it seems like Peps are relatively stable. Zerion can play the held back and has both his cooldowns, so the threat from the Skytor very temporary. Some progress on the point is nice to have, and Willie's with no armor does mean he can be focused down pretty easily, but Quick Esports at the moment seem more focused on reevaluating their own power and figuring out how to mount another proper attack.
Yeah, Dip is kind of stranded here. Maneuvered his way all the way into Quick's spawn room and forced a recall as well. However, in a pretty good position to help follow up with Zerion on the damage onto Snowdrop. But we can see that Quick are putting in the work. Again, nothing's looking at this Tracer right now. And that is a big problem. A player as skilled as Dip, you can't just ignore them and hope for the best, right? Quick, they have been trying to do that. And they're able to get at least one tick on the objective. Second one not going to help quite as well. We're going to mostly see the streams from these Wu Yangs come out onto the flex DPS. Think of it like a Zen Harmony Orb in that sense. And now the spawns are back from Team Peps. Fight gets a bit more chaotic. Mines all over the objective. So Peps are actually content to just leave the objective for a spell. Kitsune Rush and a Deadeye.
Nice.
Willis is taken down, but Zerion able to trade it back, and Dip making the most of that Kitsune Rush speed and damage boost.
Indeed. Very low is the Kiriko, but with the cleanse, she'll be able to escape. Quick Esports have got plenty of close fights before, but they've never been able to actually get it over the line. Snowdrop moving over to the Freya is an attempt to shift that equilibrium, but I will say Team Peps have a fantastic ult bank accrued here. Everything bar the Kitsune Rush. Johan uses his own to try and open up this fight.
Yeah, and we know how strong that Tidal Blast is, that Wu Yang ultimate as well. Comes through onto Dip, not going to find anything, but it seems like the pressure was a bit unrelenting. Willis also tossing the downpour in there. Skytor, despite how survivable a Wrecking Ball is, a little too much of a burden to bear on this day.
Indeed. 45 seconds to go, rather, and Quick Esports have at least managed to bleed all the ultimates out of their opposition. So we're coming into a neutral fight, essentially, in this final battle. Of course, the last attempt for them to get more progress onto that first point, else they'll be stuck at the 60% on the dot they accrued in that previous push. No ults close, maybe an evil pulse bomb is all they've got to work with, and Dip going down, fantastic pick.
Yeah, Dip has been the thorn in the side of Quick Esports for now. Skytor takes that thorn and just slams it into the ground. Gonna be no issues. I think Willis got booped off and tried to mantle back on, and Skytor just body blocked him, which is absolute freakish work from the tank. Skytor maybe has the ball genetics, at least in that regard, but it's good enough to get Quick Esports this first cap after about 3 minutes.
Takes them a hot second, but at the end of the day, cap's a cap, right? Zoro being a late kill does mean that the shooting that you'd normally have so strongly from the top of Castle won't have that same level of effectiveness without your primary hit scan to deal that damage. Great slam from Skyto is going to help him finish off that minefield once more. But without the car actually being there, all it's going to do is essentially charge Ultimate's evil!
He got two. He got two. Right, don't panic here. He got two. 4v4 situation now. Somewhat self-inflicted. Quick haven't even pushed underneath this heart. Yeah, FD God falls very close to dying. They're able to use that Guardian Wave to live for just a little bit longer. Playing, again, it's the positioning, as you said, which is so intriguing for these players. Kitsune Rush out for Zerion, alongside a minefield from Skytor as well. A Diva in that Kitsune Rush is a deadly freak of nature, especially combine that up with the missiles onto Snowdrop as well. Seems like Quick are going to be routed here for another few minutes.
Yeah, you do about 6 more billion damage in that thing. It's a great exit frag, though, from Skytor. Is able to escape, especially with help. Oh, there's adaptive shields and some pressure onto the Freya. Oh, it seems like Skytor does go down there. It's nobody to chase Zoro, and so nice attempt. Gets the bolo out, but you also have to stagger heading into what's going to be your final fight. The last of all going to be Snowdrop, the healing from the Wu Yang. Simply not enough. You've got a Kitsu, you've got the water balloon, the bubble. You could probably throw the bubble onto Evil, onto Skytor, try and see who you can get a knockdown on. But first and foremost, somebody has to get overtime started once this fight breaks down.
Yeah, I mean, you need your player in position before you can actually think of putting that ultimate onto them. Then Jonte also needs to be in a spot to actually place that. So even though I would like it to go onto Skytor, it's more likely it's going to be Evil. You put it onto Dip, who goes in, able to get knocked down. Suzu, well timed, but the pulse bomb time just a little bit better. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. If you Suzu the... I mean, if you don't Suzu the Tidal Blast, that's just going to get the kill. But then if you do Suzu it, then a pulse bomb's going to come out, and it gets the kill anyway.
10 seconds left to go, and I gotta say, this one is looking all over but the crying. No member of Quick Esports seems in a real position to move through. Evil on his way to see if the clock is going to start. Actually, it's going to be Skyto who can battle that out, and close to a minefield would be fantastic in a scenario like this where touching the car is paramount, but he's got no chance to lose it as he goes down to a sliver of HP.
Yeah, but actually up to full health, able to get a mega. Mirrored Kitsune rushes as well. You can see Willis in all the chaos, able to find Snowdrop, but not after Snowdrop's already found Zerion. Skytor has put the mines into the point, which means Quick Esports, they get some more meterage. Again, every single centimeter you can eke out is going to be valuable, but Evil steps off the objective for a little bit too long there. And it's Quick pushing it to a not fantastic spot, given Iconwall.
You'll take it. You'd really rather get it over to the bridge, but at the end of the day, you've given yourself some extra time to play with, right? You've got a little bit of runway to make mistakes on, and it's not the end of the world for them, but you kind of see the the tone I'm taking here, it's also not great, right? Take a look at the statistics, and the standout is Snowdrop here. He's having a pretty terrible time. 7 and 8. For a map as long range as this, you really need your hit scan to be finding value. If he's just not starting, then you kind of can't play, right? You need to be finding picks, you need to be winning duels, you need to be surviving hits, especially if you're playing like Cassidy, right? And so I think the Swaps of the Freya is better. I think it's a little bit easier to play, especially when you have the high ground given for free, when you control the sightline already. Mercy for Zerion for the spawn shot. I mean, we haven't seen this get a kill since like last year, so I wouldn't expect to see one now, but hey, you never know.
Be the change that you want to see, Spec. I would be a lot more positive.
I don't want to see the change.
But like, it's always kind of aura when like you just get a grapple shot and then immediately swap off, right? Like you remember Gesture in like season 2 of Overwatch League, right? Yeah. No, Gesture hitting a spawn shot. Okay, well, Luau is like a child. He wouldn't understand anyway. We go up and we go right back down again, so it's not going to be successful here. Full swap up. The Tracer from Dip has proven to be a big problem. A real standout player, both on Quick when he played for it and Team Peps as well, with both teams setting up for the engage right here. It's a complete mirror matchup, and as you identified earlier, Freya on both these sides. Zorro, of course, has that defensive advantage, seems to be doing particularly well right now, and you can see the amount of pocket potential that the Wu Yang has. You know, even when Zorro was put under a lot of scrutiny by the members of Quick, there was a lot of healing to come through. Guess who's there for the cleanup? It's all Dip.
Yeah, I mean, Zario's woes are going to continue. Or Snowdrop's rather, woes are going to continue. Obviously, a really strong player, but I think the lack of experience that he has kind of showing now only really been on Quick Esports as his notable roster. And because of that, I think we'll be making some mistakes that other hit scans might lack in exchange for having absolutely, laser-like aim. At the end of the day, though, Overwatch isn't an aim trainer. So much of this is just down to decision-making, and I think we are seeing the practical upshot of that. About 5 minutes to defend for one fight. This is really rough for Quick Esports.
Yeah, and you can see the gap in ult charge between him and Zorro as well, right? Zorro is utterly phenomenal on the hit scan and proving to be deadly on the Freya. Has made Skytor's life a bit of a living hell by solo ulting him twice in the last round. But oh well, it's a wrecking ball. A very annoying hamster. There are worse things that you could do to deal with a pest infestation, I suppose. Dip comes up to the pulse bomb, but Johan, great reactions there to land the headshot and get off the high ground as well to avoid any potential damage. At the same time, we can see Zerion find Evil, but Snowdrop finding his footing a little bit here, able to catch FD God out, and that is the bulk of your healing output, and your damage output, and everything output, realistically, from your Wu Yang. Zerion's still here, actually trading out the backline, but Quick, they can't really afford to get staggered here. The spawns are much better for Peps, and remember, it's not like Peps have to push this particularly far.
Well, they need to stagger, because we need to see Quick Esports holding something on the objective at all times, essentially. They don't have time for a reset, so they have to take this fight now, whatever they have it, and the Kitsu makes it so much harder.
Minefield going to cover the point, try and deny the value from the Kitsu. Willis actually tries to force away Snowdrop, not going to happen. Eventually is the one that gets knocked down. Jonte and Dip traded for each other on the objective. Willis has a bomb here. Just another resource to clear the objective if you want to. It's not going to find anything itself, but is going to allow space for Zorro to get onto Johan. 126 left. It's just Skytor alive, playing on for a sliver of life, begging for someone to come save him, but no one answers that call. T-Peps go up 2-0. They put themselves firmly on match point. Pretty dominant fashion.
Yeah, unfortunately, for their own map choice, Eichenwald didn't go so well for Quick Esports, right? They got kind of shamoned. As I mentioned, Snowdrop was essentially a non-factor in this game. There's very little positives to put out of it, other than some nice plays from Skytor and Evil for the most part. It's a rough scenario to be in now. Obviously, you have to look at how you're going to play for your reverse sweep, and what kind of bans, what kind of map picks would kind of enable that. Honestly, I don't have much idea.
Sometimes you just get team gapped, right? And I think that's the issue here. For Quick, I mean, I guess we can kind of talk about their expectations as a whole. Of course, they got in again via third place of promotion relegation. Is certainly not ideal. Put it like this: Team Vision first in promotion relegation. Team Peps, I think, are maybe one step below. I think if we're forming like a kind of power ranking, like just off the cuff right now, it would be something along the lines of Alcadzia, Twisted Minds, Virtus Pro top 3. That's pretty, like, that's. I don't think that's up for much debate. I don't think anyone's really arguing about that. Then I would have Vision in 4th, Genji in 5th, Peps in 6th. Peps doing probably the exact same thing that they've been doing this entire time, which is, you know, surviving, staying in the top flight, which is certainly respectable, but you don't really expect them to punch up to those top 3 teams, right? If you're Quick and you're not able to have a win over Peps, or at least, you know, a somewhat competitive performance, I mean, like, you're kind of just bound for relegation again, right?
I mean, remember, it's the end of the year, so there's not going to be any relegation, as far as I understand. We're going into
I'm actually not sure how that works.
OWCS. Yeah, we'll have to check the rule set, but it would help to finish higher. I mean,
it'll probably be for the next stage of Face It Masters, right? But it might just happen later than we expect. They'll be like, okay, go away for like 2 months, and then come back, and we'll figure it out. I don't actually remember, when did this season start? Because we're coming up to the end of it. It's beginning of September. It will end by the end of November with Stockholm. And did it start, what, like, I want to say March this year?
What, this season of Face It Masters?
No, I'm talking about, like, just this year of OWCS in general, like, stage 1, 2, 3.
Let's find out, because I should
you know, I am asking these questions, forgetting that we do have this crazy thing called the internet.
We do, January 31st.
Oh, that's a lot earlier than I remember it. Maybe I'm just going insane.
You're just losing your marbles, mate.
Happens. Damn. Well, I mean, in a way, we're kind of blessed, because we're looking at, like, if we're going end of January, end November, we're looking at, like, 10 months of competitive Overwatch, with, like, a month break in between, like, those. So 7 total months of top flight matchups, plus combine that with the fact that there's, you know, all the last chance qualifiers, all of the last chance qualifiers, all of the, you know, promotion relegation matches in between. I think we're getting pretty blessed this year. Obviously OWCS was a pretty strong idea coming into it, but as time goes on, I am liking and loving the format a lot more. I also really like the promotion relegation system, because they introduced that only this year, 2025 starting out. They didn't have it in 2024. It just makes sense. And I think even though the actual individual teams getting promoted relegated haven't really changed or been that spectacular, it makes sense just for the ecosystem as a whole that you actually have to play well to hold on to your spot in the top flight.
Power says, my favorite UK duo, no way. Any words for UK fans? We're not a duo.
I'm sorry.
We're kind of like, firstly,
I say I apologize if you're a UK fan because you're from the UK. Sorry. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching you in NSC Neil. I hope you do okay. I will hopefully be retired by then from playing at least, so we'll see. But me and Egda, we're kind of like a divorced couple, but
sometimes
we're like co-parenting, you know. We're co-parenting.
Yeah, there'll be graduation, there'll be birthdays, right? There'll be dance recitals and stuff, and so we just kind of have to spend the time with each other since then. It's a shame. It was a lovely, passionate relationship we had, but
just the way
someone went and ruined it. Not naming any names, but
so Strafe was back in for Jonte, so that implies that we're getting a Lucio again, and no more Wu Yang. That much is pretty obvious. As for their next map pick, we'll have to wait and see for that, most obviously. But where would you go in a situation like this, right? So Wu Yang is no bueno. You got kind of Shimon on it. Your Ryan comp kind of work better for you. You're playing against mostly Diva Has. Honestly, I would say going for a Diva ban and then picking like a Suravasa might be pretty valid. Honestly, you can get like a
maybe Colosseo.
If you really want to play Ryan. I would imagine something like that first and foremost. But it's very wide open here because Quick's game plan is obviously pretty unique in among Overwatch teams.
Yes, they are trying their best. We'll put it like that. It's genuinely surprising how, yeah, you were saying earlier, the Rhine did just look better for them. They went to Lijiang. First point was pretty close. Second point, slightly less so, but we're sort of grasping at straws at this point. So I genuinely don't see a world in which you don't just choose Colosseo here, or something akin to Colosseo, ban the Diva to protect your Rhine. But then also the enemy could just ban Lucio, because Quick have banned Lucio, but Peps haven't, so Peps still have that up their sleeve if they want to do that.
And it is, in fact, a Diva ban from Quick Esports. Peps decided to play with a Kiriko ban, so forcing the backline onto probably Lucio Bat, more likely than anything else. There's also an option for Juno Break, but the hero isn't as prevalent now as she was in the past, with nerfs to both those heroes. I think these are pretty reasonable bans. I think it's kind of the best you can hope for if you are Quick trying to eke out a map win. Will it actually work? I mean, all we can do is wait and see, because they've kind of created an opportunity for themselves. Can they follow through on it?
Yeah, it gets to a point where, you know, you're down 2 and it's like, okay, well, we have to find something, we have to do something. We have to magic our way out of this situation, and it's a pretty damn bad situation to be in from the offset. So you do feel for Quick in a situation like this, but ultimately, you're in the top flight now, you go against top teams, you will have much harder challenges than Team Peps, I can assure you. So it's a bit of a tough welcome back, but hey, at least Quick have managed to be in it basically the whole time. I mean, so Stage 1, they didn't qualify off of a literal game bug that had the... because that was against Team Vision in their first incarnation where they didn't have Violet, bluntly. Where, like, it was their Hazard who, like, landed on Lucio's head, and that somehow just booped him like crazy into the lava at the very bottom of, I think it was Samoa, into the lava, and he died that way with beat, and then like that they just couldn't win the fight from there. Then Stage 2, they obviously come in, and then they become one dip for quite a while, that core of players. Of course, that has split up recently and gone to different teams, and now Quick is back again. As we said earlier, the magic just happens. Don't question why Quick are always in OWCS. We just we have connections, and we're very powerful people.
Tobias just like mails what's his face? I forgot. But basically, he's got Big Blizzard in his pocket. Okay. He's got industry secrets that they need to keep access to. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but like they're not like they're like kind of important secrets, but they're not that important because like we can't have it to a point where we just match fix every game for Quick to win.
Well,
but we always need them in the top flight, you know.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
It might have influenced why Quick got that win over the Ultimates. It could also be for you because that Ultimates roster was like hot garbage, which was always another possibility too. Oh well, live and learn. Atlas going to be the map that we go to actually, which is new to me. I've played on it maybe twice, so I can't say I'm too familiar with it. It lends itself to some flexible styles. I did see one of the North American matches yesterday, Liquid versus Nightmare, where there was a lot of Reaper being played on this map, but something like a Tracer Genji from Peps, double flex DPS in general on this map seems to be a bit more favored.
Double flex is good. Double flex is really good. The heroes individually are strong now. It works well, enabled by that Wu Yang. I said we wouldn't see any. No, it's just swap roles a little bit. So onto a very Korean style of comp with a low amount of healing. Skytor has to make sure he doesn't get poked out, because if he does, he won't really be in the fight again.
Yeah, and Cardiac Overdrive is kind of what everything revolves around for Malga. that ability has been gutted over and over again. So you need to be careful with that cooldown. It can't be as simple as slamming onto the tank, press cardiac, shoot the tank, will be fine. You have to be very careful with it. And a 45 advantage, definitely something that can take advantage of. Evil getting the better of Dip here. A nice dash through, a lot of juicy damage here. Now you can see Quick come onto this front line, and without the damage to poke Skytor out, he's pretty free to keep Willis in check.
Yeah, the new Quick FDPS gets the better of the old, and first cap comes pretty easily for Quick Esports. Zero on the Juno does give you, not the Juno rather, the Venture, sorry, does give you a little bit more survivability, a little bit more brawl capability, which is exactly what they're looking for with a comp like this. So Zoro has to take advantage of that by playing these really long fights, not allowing the fight to devolve, just making sure the Tracer finds her individual value.
Yeah, Zerion under a fair bit of scrutiny there. That's where Skytor tried to go with the pin. Points actually flipped for Peps, and their health bars are falling lower and lower, but not quite to zero. See what I did there? Who is actually in for Quick Esports, who we have not yet seen. Now it's a bit of a chaotic situation. Point looked like it could come close to being flipped again, but Team Peps end up winning out in the dogfight.
And they do. 39%. All we're going to see at the end, a late kill into Yoham is pretty nice to have if you are a fan of Team Peps. Defensively, you've got good tools as well. You're probably going to be initiating with your Wu Yang ult. What
have I done?
Yeah, it was probably the zero joke. That wasn't great.
Yeah, that would do it.
It was Bull Skunk-esque, even.
I'm not nearly as handsome as that man, unfortunately.
That's true.
Approaching into this, we're going to see Zerion put the Tidal Blast onto Zoro. Again, it's insane. You can just blink in, and that's the value that you obtain. We see a 4-man sound barrier come out from FD God. Zerion not going to get all that health. Quick didn't actually use any ultimates there. I think that was something to sustain some aggression for Peps. Quick able to come back in, get their touch onto the objective. Skytor, of course, going to be really good at contesting that point, at least for a little while before needing the help of the rest of the team. Now the sound barrier out from Strebel. It's better. It's not quite able to save the life of Evil. Zero comes in onto the high ground with the Tectonic Shock. It's able to put in a lot of damage, but kills are everything. They are gold in this game, and everything is looking all out of sorts if you're on a gold hunt. Zoro able to find Strebel as well. Actually coming back from the fight, I believe. Now Dip is in to clean up the backline too, and this flip for Quick has been all but cosmetic.
Yeah, pretty sloppy there from Quick Esports. Realistically, we should have found more value from our Wu Yang ultimate. It went on to Evil, who's not able to get too much done with it, right? Venture.
And now we're on Moira.
Yeah, it's pretty better, all things considered. You have a lot more healing. You don't have to worry about sustaining like double FDPS flanking the same way you would with a Tracer as with a Venture. And the Malga, needs more healing than the Hazard. It's as simple as. So I think this is overall a stronger choice. Just wait and see what the Cage Blade gets done.
There's a lot of similarities, I genuinely think, between Wu Yang and Moira. But if you're gonna play, if you have these flex DPS, but you're not playing the angles, the Moira might make more sense for that front-loaded healing. Blade from Evil is drawn, not going to be denied here. Skytor actually cages. Is able to catch onto Willis, but unfortunately he can block, and Zerion is able to get the healing through that barrier as well. Again, it's as we saw before, Quick are going to get an early point flip just on account of the pressure that their composition exerts, but in the long run they might get eked out by Peps here.
Yeah, missing some shots there from what would have been really an essential kill. Allows Willis just to walk forward, find some pretty easy kills. The 25% you get is nice, but realistically, it's still 2 fights, right? It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, and now your ult economy totally reset. Team Peps is flowing. You've got to really now start worrying about Team Peps being able to take some efficient fight wins here using just the Pulse Bomb, just the beat, just the Wu Yang ultimate to knock you out, because if they get a proper ult cycle going, that could lock you out the map and the series.
Yeah, the ults are going to be everything right now, and we see an early one come through, and that is a massive ult from Zerion. Puts it onto Zoro, who's able to come through, knock down 3, I believe, with that Tidal Blast, and it's all over for Quick. 65% and a late kill onto Strebel means that even a touch here is looking a bit far-fetched.
It's a possibility for sure. You've got double flex DPS and a Lucio, right, in your composition. You should be able to get overtime started if you want, but Zero going down makes it a hell of a lot harder. I imagine you'll just back out, try and play for next. Quick Esports really struggling now, and they will get overtime started with the Coalescence. Will it be enough?
I mean, Coalescence goes in, it is able to force a downpour from Willis, but is it so much of a force as it is just a one-for-one ultimate trade as FD God more than content to clean up everything. 2-0 currently on Atlas for Team Peps. Quick Esports need to find answers. They need to find them immediately, and they think that the Wrecking Ball might hold the answer in his little hamster brain of his.
Yep. We'll have to wait and see whether that actually works out, right? You've got some really strong targets to hit. Not a lot of people who can survive you for a long period of time, but can your team survive? That's got to be the real question here.
Yeah, Ball can do a lot in terms of putting pressure on the enemy, but assisting your own team is a lot more difficult. And Evil taken down by Willis in all the chaos there with the Spike Guard. Again, this time the roles are flipped. We don't have a Mauga anymore for Quick Esports, therefore the ability to control the point definitely in the favor of Team Peps. You're going to get an early cap.
Indeed. First time we've seen Peps get the first cap. See if it is going to be as much a poison chalice for them as it has been for Quick Esports. 1-for-1 blade pull dip, 60 HP.
Ooh, Zero uses the Tectonic Shock. Really nice fashion there. Is able to take out Dip with it. The blade, of course, incredibly valuable. Good work being able to shut it down there. But even then, Zoro and FD God still able to trade onto some of their counterparts. They take down DPS and the support respectively. Skytor can't really be more than just a bit of a nuisance on the point right now. Trying to spin, trying to win, but that could be a little far out of your reach as things look right now. You're able to get a quick point flip. Zerion back through with that ultimate, and it's able to get the knockdown and kill onto Zero. Beat out from Straybor now. It wasn't good enough to keep Zero alive, but can it help enable
his dash?
Blade? He blocked his dash, still able to get onto Zerion. I think we finally have a bit of a save execution here. Maybe for Quick you can breathe one sigh of relief, but just the one. Nope, downpour comes in, and it enables the kill to come through onto Johan.
Yeah, I mean, was a possibility for a trade to hack on to either of those spells, his fate, and the kind of 55% that we've had appears to be where the Bucks going to stop. The Mind's invested. Really doesn't want to let go of this fight, does Skytor, but with every other player falling, you've got to see the writing on the wall, surely. Just wants to get it until kind of last fight territory before he goes down, but that does mean you won't have much time yourself for this refight. You'll be building your entire fight plan around this Wu Yang ult, but Yoham has to survive, has to get the cast onto Zero, and he has to find a big knockdown. Otherwise, we'll be seeing Quick Esports exit the first game of OWCS sad.
Yeah, without a single point win on anything, actually, now I think about it. I was going to say Atlas at first, but only a single point cap on Eichenwald is not going to be great. And they know that Johan has the ult, so they're just going to dive bomb the fella. But they do leave their own backline a little exposed in that. It's a somewhat sloppy engagement that comes through. It means that two are taken down. Quick Esports able to get the objective back for a moment. Lots of damage coming through onto Zerion. Skytor able to just about finish that kill. Has to be Dip here, possibly for the touch. Never mind, it's actually someone else. Believe it's the Lucio FD God, and Willis able to get back onto the objective. Now the ults are on the board. Dip could come up to this EMP. It's only 2% now, 1% away. That could turn the tide of things. Hack onto
Dip's
Evil,
dead,
but actually able to take out Dip with the use of that ultimate. Now we send in Evil with the Wu Yang ultimate, which apparently blew up so hard that it caused the game to pause. So, Jesus Christ, okay, this is a bit of an everything fight right now. Yeah, it's a bit too close to call currently. I could not give one team an edge in this, and I think this is like a really, really awkward pause timing, because like all the players are so locked in and they're like about to get like their kills and like use their cooldowns, and then there's a pause. It's like, oh, well, now what?
Yeah, I mean, we're close to Wu Yang ult. If you are a fan of Team Peps, you've got the sound barrier active, you're down a member. So if you find value in the kind of next couple of seconds with the sound barrier, you could probably, justify using the Wu Yang ult to extend to try and, close this fight out. If not, though, Quick Esports, I reckon, do have a bit of an upper hand here. they really need to survive the next couple of seconds. Otherwise, they're going to be in a really, really rough spot still.
It could just be it could just be a case of like spam the cues as hard as humanly possible. Like just like as the unpause is happening, just mash the Q button repeatedly and see what happens at this point. Not entirely sure who was the one who ended up causing that pause, but we're going to see this fight start right back up again, and immediately Willis is able to take out Yoham. Now Zerion is going to have the advantage with that ultimate, actually used to help Willis stay alive and to get a bit of a knockdown onto Skytor. EMP also comes out from Dip, and surely that's just be all over right now. It should be done for Quick Esports. Their dream should be dashed, and they're not going to take a single cap on that final point. Team Peps with a dominant 3-0 victory.
Yeah, that it was. Showed up, struggled a little bit on that first point, but since then they locked in, and Quick Esports were locked out, unfortunately. Peps, their first win of OWCS Stage 3, and Quick Esports maybe have to reconsider where they maybe can find a victory, because not that Peps was it, but, you know, your next up on the chopping block is arguably like a Vision Esports almost, so really poor position to be in. I best hope that the boys can get some time to figure out exactly what their plan of attack is going to be for the rest of the season, because there's going to be 8 weeks of play still for them to go through, and
yeah,
quite how it will work, I mean, wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, to be honest, if you're Quick, there are like 2 teams that you can realistically be beating or taking maps off, and those are Peps and Good Guys. I think Vision, they just got such insane investment and upgrade during their Face It season for promotion relegation that they're now better than some of the current franchise teams like Genji, like Peps. So Quick probably can't do that well against Vision. Of course, Peps I wouldn't put much higher than a team like Genji. So realistically, Quick, if they want a win, it has to be against the Good Guys, right? Even then, that's just the one, and we're still very likely looking at going right back to relegation. It's a tough day at the office, of course, but big congratulations to Peps. Commiserations to Quick, of course. Is a very difficult matchup for them. They were the underdogs, and, well, no one got proven wrong, I suppose. It's a very tough matchup, and they did play admirably despite all of that. So thank you so much for joining us for this co-stream. We should be seeing you next week with all the other Quick Esports matches coming through as they come by. I have been Egder, joined by Spectron, with Luau producing in the background. Thank you for watching, and have a good rest of your evening.